The southern English town of Salisbury, population 45,000, is as traditional as you get. White, wealthy, conservative, ageing, and a stronghold of UKIP, Britain's anti-EU party. It wants Britain out of the European Union and is actively seeking Eurosceptic allies in the European Parliament to increase its influence after this summer's European elections. When UKIP's leader, Nigel FARAGE, comes to speak at the Guildhall, he's mostly preaching to the converted. Even if many here would be horrified by the company FARAGE is aiming to keep in Europe, mostly fringe parties on the extreme right of the political spectrum. FARAGE is slick and funny and knows how to play the populist card.
When the constitutional document was finished, Giscard d'Estaing very proudly presented this document. Giscard was asked a question by a German journalist. He said, "But Giscard, you're talking about the EU becoming a global superpower. You're talking about a European foreign policy. You're talking about a European army. The British will never accept this." And Giscard's response, "The British need to understand that unless they sign up to this constitution, they will be relegated to the status of a country like Switzerland." If he means relegated to the status of the richest country in the European time zone per capita, I'm up for this relegation.
Among the Eurosceptics, independence and democracy is by far the most critical, but it's not the only group on the right defending nationalist ideals. Parliamentarian Brian Crowley is co-president of the Union for a Europe of Nations. Fighting for a second Irish referendum on the ratification of the Lisbon Treaty, he rejects the Eurosceptic label often applied to his group.
We believe in the European Union project. We believe in the development of European Union policies. But we don't believe in a United States of Europe, a federal Europe whereby you have an elected president and elected government operating over the whole region. We believe that it's up to the member states cooperating, coordinating and coming together that can achieve the best results, not just for the European Union, but for those individual countries and the regions within those individual countries as well. So to consider us as being Eurosceptic would be an incorrect assumption. And likewise, if you look at our voting record, if you look at the issues that we discussed and that we speak on in the Parliament as a whole, the group's representation has always been on the basis of development of policies, development of new ideas. We object to certain things, of course, as every group objects, because we think there are better ways of doing something, but that doesn't make us Eurosceptic.
During the plenary sessions last June, the debates on the Irish referendum no vote revealed the stark differences between Farage and Crowley's positions.
It is EU nationalism, and it is the most dangerous political phenomenon to have swept Europe since 1945. In fact, you don't need the UK Independence Party. You are destroying the European Union in the eyes of the voters. Well done, everybody.
And to those who wear T-shirts inside in this House, not only do they disrespect this House and the members of this House, but they in no way stand or represent the Irish people or the Irish nation. And I want to make it clear that those same flag wavers over here on my left, those same people who claim to defend the rights of Irish people, what respect do they have for the Irish people and the Irish flag, that they use the Irish flag as a tablecloth to put their drinks upon? That's what this group represents. That's the kind of disrespect that they have for the people. Allow us to move forward. The European project is one worth saving. It's not just about peace. It's not just about prosperity. It's about solidarity.
More recently, the arrival of the highly Eurosceptic Czech President Václav Klaus stirred the European Parliament. He was quick to criticise how it works, comparing it in some ways to the totalitarianism of the former Soviet Union. Here we are only offered one choice. Anyone proposing an alternative is shouted down as an enemy of European integration.
I shall congratulate him on having the courage for standing up and speaking at the front of that European Parliament. I shall say to him that he's the first person in 10 years of membership that I've stood up and clapped because I really enjoyed what he said. And I should be very keen to ask him a fundamental question, which will be, if it does go through the Senate in the Czech Republic, will he as president put his signature to that treaty or not? And I'm looking forward to hearing what the answer is.
The Irish no last June accentuated the divisions among the nationalist right. Some think the ratification process should end there. Others, on the contrary, support the holding of a second referendum. The pressure group Libertas successfully led the No campaign last summer. Since then, it's turned itself into a pan-European party, recruiting candidates in every member state for the June elections. The rallying cry of its leader, Declan Ganley, is let all of Europe's citizens vote in a referendum on the Lisbon Treaty. For this Irish businessman, the Nice Treaty is the only one worth keeping. He says he's pro-European and hates being lumped in with the nationalist Eurosceptics.
Wonderful. The vast majority of our laws are made by people that we don't know, that never have to ask us for a vote at a ballot box. And in Article 48 of that Constitution, called the Lisbon Treaty, it means that none of us will ever be asked the question again in a referendum. It is the death of democracy on a European level. How are we different from some of the groups in the IndDem group or the UEN group? Well, some of them are withdrawalists. They don't want the European Union at all, particularly if you were to take, for example, parties like UKIP, and there are others as well. They want to leave the European Union. This would be a disaster in my mind. But while people allow the continuation of these anti-democratic tendencies to exist in Europe, then it's not surprising that some people will say, we don't want to have any part of that. We need to change this.
We can't fight these elections with him, but after the elections, the day after the elections, we will sit down with Declan Ganley around the table and say, well, look, what are the things that we agree on? And I'll also make a prediction. My prediction is that Ganley will be elected as an Irish MEP, and within 18 months of being an MEP, he'll be as Eurosceptic as I am.
Keeping Europe at bay or embracing it? What direction to take and how to take it? These are the questions tearing at the political formations that are the furthest on the right in Europe. It's more than likely that these questions will remain after the 7th of June European elections.